A community in Prince George's County banding together to search for answers in the disappearance of a 19-year-old. Last night, family and friends held a vigil for Dacara Thompson, who has been missing now for over a week.
Jacqueline Quinn joins us now live this morning at the intersection of Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road in Hyattsville, which was Dacara's last known location. And Jacqueline, the family is desperate for some answers this morning.
Yes, and that is why they've really been focusing on this area. We can see the missing posters here. And in this specific area is where they found her car. They found her ID. There was money and her phone inside of the car, but no signs of her. That's also why they had the vigil nearby here to really get community members around here really thinking, because any information could help. The search is intensifying for 19-year-old Dacara Thompson, missing for more than a week in Prince George's County. Her father says he last texted Dacara around 11:50 p.m. on August 22nd, telling her good night. She replied she was out but would be home soon, and that was the last time anyone heard from her. Surveillance video shows someone who appears to be Dacara exiting her vehicle in Hyattsville. Her family says they staked out that location for days, hoping she would return. Sunday, friends and family held a vigil near where the car was found by Riggs Road and Jasmine Terrace, then canvassed the neighborhood for leads.
We have no knowledge of what her whereabouts have been for the past 9 days.
Supporters passed out flyers and joined the search. Some were drawn by their own experiences.
My daughter was missing for 2 years and a half, and the Lord just led me to come here and pray for her and give encouragement words to the mother and the father.
And remember, this is the area where she was last seen. It looked like seemed on that video walking towards this corner here of Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road. And again, the family, they say they're going to continue to canvass and they won't stop until hopefully they do find her. But any information they say could help in this case to bring her home. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
And you so insecure about that little shit, damn why a nigga can't see you. Damn why bitch can't be lovers to the end of time. Fuck with you forever.
What's up, everybody? All right, you guys, so we have a missing persons case coming out of Lanham, Maryland. 19-year-old Dacara Thompson has not been seen since August 22nd, which will be a week today. Last Friday, Dacara left her home around 10 p.m. and she told her dad that she'll be back. But Dacara never returned. So she drove the 2013 Ford Edge and it was pearl white. And she could be seen exiting her vehicle at a Shell gas station on the 22nd by the Eastgate Shopping Center. Now after this, we really don't know what took place because Dacara never came home. Now at some point in time, her parents, they get worried and they track her phone. And that is when they find Dakara's vehicle abandoned in Hyattsville. So from what her parents are saying, they found all of her belongings inside of this vehicle. They found her wallet, they found her keys, and they found $60 in cash. There has been no communication from her. We don't know if she was going to meet somebody. And you have to understand, this is now a week that she has not been seen or heard from. So this case takes place in Lanham and in Hyattsville. So if you have any information on the disappearance of Dacara Thompson, please contact police. Now, even though they have found her vehicle, if you saw that vehicle on Friday going into Saturday morning, please contact police and let them know what you saw. Now, you guys, as always, please blow this up, share this. Let's bring Dacara home.
60 seconds with Dacara.
Alright, what's your hometown? Where are you from?
Maryland.
Alright, where's your birthday?
August 8th.
Alright, what's your favorite color?
Pink.
Okay, what's your dream occupation?
Real estate.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, what's your biggest pet peeve?
Mean people.
I don't like mean people either. What's your favorite artist? I just simply want my daughter back.
Dacara Thompson, 19, mysteriously disappeared 10 days ago while she was refueling at a gas station. Her family believes she might have been kidnapped.
Something has to be wrong. Somebody has her. Somebody has her.
Thompson was last seen at around 10 p.m. on August 22nd when she left her father's home in Larnham. She told her father that she was going to refuel nearby and would be back soon, but she never came back.
She just said, Dad, I'll be back.
The police traced her car and found it parked in front of a fire hydrant near Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road, with her wallet and house keys still inside. A surveillance video shows Thompson left her car parked in front of the fire hydrant at around 1:30 a.m. on Saturday and walked along the sidewalk towards Riggs Road. It had been about 3 hours since she left home. Her parents stated that her phone was not left in the car and has now been deactivated. And as a student about to graduate, she had no apparent reason to leave, leading her family to worry that she might have been taken away under duress.
I sat there for 2 days, for 48 hours, just to see if she or someone else would come back to look for the car.
Thompson is 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighs approximately 105 pounds. She has brown long hair and eyes. She has a nose ring and tattoos on her right and left arms. She was wearing a dark jacket and jeans when she went missing. The Prince George's County Police Department is continuing its investigation. Anyone with information regarding her whereabouts is kindly urged to contact the local police immediately.
Hi, everybody. We begin with a news alert tonight. A body found in Anne Arundel County may be linked to missing Prince George's County woman Dacara Thompson.
That is a big story tonight at 10 o'clock. Shamari Stone's live tonight in Waldorf with the latest. Shamari.
Well, Jim and Angie, moments ago, we tried to speak with Dacara Thompson's mother, and Dacara Thompson's mother and father. They don't want to discuss this latest development at this point. Meanwhile, this investigation is continuing. Tonight, Sky Fox hovering near a grassy area off of Route 50 in Annapolis after Maryland State Police discovered the body around 5 o'clock Sunday evening. Right now, Prince George's County Police cannot confirm the body found is 19-year-old Dacara Thompson, but say it does look like her. Investigators are waiting on an autopsy result to confirm. Fox 5 first told you about Dacara's disappearance. When we spoke to her parents last week, they told us the last time they saw Dacara was when she left home in Lanham and said she'd be back.
We found the car abandoned, and and we found her belongings in the car. So I don't know. The only thing she has of her was her phone and the location where we found her car.
She was last seen on August 22nd. Surveillance video from Hyattsville, Maryland, showing her locking the SUV that was parked in the wrong direction on the street and walking away around 1:30 in the morning, 9 miles from her house.
At that time, we continued to do video work in the area. We worked with the family to try to work through cell phone information to attempt to locate her. Further investigation and video was conducted. We really searched hard for the car.
And on Sunday, Maryland State Police say they were initially called out for a broken down vehicle and troopers discovered the body when they went out there. Tonight, they say it does not seem that the disabled car is connected to the case.
19 years old. Dacara is 19 years old. And so even though technically she's an adult, she's someone's child, someone's baby. And so our heart goes out to her entire family.
And call Prince George's County Police if you have any information about the Dacara Thompson disappearance. I'm Shamari Stone here in Waldorf. Back to you, Jim and Angie.
Police have confirmed the body found along Route 50 on Sunday afternoon in Anne Arundel County is in fact that of missing teen Dacara Thompson. Now, earlier this morning, police announced that she had been killed and a man has already been arrested and charged in connection with her murder. That suspect, according to Prince George's County Police, is in the United States illegally and is now subject to an ICE detainer. News 4's Darcy Spencer joins us live in Bowie, where that man was taken into custody. It is the news her parents, her community were hoping they would not receive. Darcy Spencer, bring us up to speed with what we know.
And that's right, Erica. You know, in this murder shaken this Bowie community, many just finding out this news today, this morning, this afternoon from us as we ask people questions in the community. That killing allegedly happened in the house right here behind me. I spoke to a woman who lives here. She asked to not be shown on camera, but she says she had no idea a crime had happened inside the house and that this suspect is her cousin. It was inside this house on Cambridge Drive in Bowie, inside this bedroom that investigators say 19-year-old Dacara Thompson was murdered. Neighbors are stunned that the missing teen investigation led to Bowie so tragically.
I was hoping for the best, but it was just, deeply saddened to hear that it turned out this way, unfortunately.
The 19-year-old had been missing since August 22nd after she told her dad she was going to get gas and never returned. Surveillance video showed her walking away from her car about 1:30 a.m. in Langley Park the next day. Police say they found additional video showing her about 3 that morning on University Boulevard in Hyattsville.
For reasons still under investigation, it appears that Dacara willfully entered a vehicle being driven by Hugo Hernandez Mendes, 35-year-old male, out of Bowie, Maryland.
Police were able to track the SUV to the suspect's home and on Thursday took him into custody. Investigators determined through a search warrant Dacara was killed here. And police say Hernandez Mendes allegedly dumped her body in the grassy area off the highway. He's facing first and second degree murder charges.
It is tough that we're at this point where the search is over and justice begins.
Police say they're still investigating how the two came into contact with one another. They're not saying how she was killed. Back in the neighborhood, several residents told News 4 they didn't recognize the suspect from his photo. They say a family lives in the home and they're quiet.
It's very troubling because, they've been over there for a couple of years, but just knowing that we have this magnitude, just hearing this is a nice family community.
Several neighbors saw the police activity Thursday morning but had no idea it was connected to the Dacara Thompson case. Many were shaken up by the news that she was allegedly killed in a home right on their street.
It was really shocking to see the police from 6:30 in the morning in front of the house blocking the street, and to hear about what happened to that poor girl. I'm really sorry for the family, and I really keep them in my prayers.
Now, earlier today at a news conference, the chief said that there are no additional suspects, but this is an ongoing investigation. The suspect right now being held without bond. He's set to appear in court Monday afternoon. Back to you.
Darcy Spencer live for us this afternoon. Darcy, thank you.
Want a bad bitch, gotta have words. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I make hits, but I still take. So license CEO, I'm a fool with the snow. They think I'm putting VVS jewels in the coke. My watch.
A few hours ago, the man accused in Thompson's death, Hugo Hernandez Mendes, faced a judge. Melissa Kim was inside that courtroom. Melissa, what did you learn?
Well, good evening there, guys. Hugo Hernandez Mendes is being held without bond tonight. He appeared in court today with his lawyer via video conference. In the meantime, the family of Dacara Thompson was physically in the courtroom today and remained solemn for the duration of the hearing.
I just want justice served for my daughter.
Carmen Thompson stoic in her words as she describes sitting in the courtroom, facing the man accused of murdering her daughter. Hugo Hernandez Mendes' attorney waiving the formal reading of the charges. The 35-year-old is facing first and second degree murder in the killing of the 19-year-old. Prince George's County State's Attorney Tara Jackson calling the details in this case limited right now because the investigation is ongoing, but acknowledging she knows the community's investment in it.
But I'll say this. The goal of this office is to achieve justice for Dacara Thompson and for her family. And that goal requires that my office have the ability to fully investigate and to thoroughly review any and all evidence in this case in order to make a determination regarding the appropriate charges.
The state's attorney was asked about the immigration status of Hernandez Mendes. On Friday, police said he was an immigrant from Guatemala who was in the country illegally.
My concern is to hold accountable people who commit crimes against the residents of Prince George's County.
I'm very disappointed, finding that out now, because we may not be here today if they did what they were supposed to do.
In the meantime, Dakara's mother holding onto memories of her daughter.
She was a kind of an outgoing, soft-spoken, kind young lady. She was a free spirit. She was a good girl. She was a good kid.
As she grasps the long road ahead for justice.
We know it's going to be extremely hard. We just ask that everybody pray for our strength through the process.
And your heart just breaks for the Thompson family listening to Dacara's mother there. And again, Hernandez Mendes is being held without bond tonight. He'll be back in court for a preliminary hearing 1 month from today. At Prince George's County District Court tonight, I'm Melissa Kim, WUSA 9.
Your heart really aches for this family sitting there, just listening to all those details, knowing this is how they lost their daughter. We'll be thinking of them. Melissa, thank you.
Now they wanna listen to us all
And we start the 10 with a Fox 5 exclusive. A neighbor of the suspect accused of killing Dacara Thompson talking tonight about the suspicious behavior he says he saw from the suspect in the aftermath of her disappearance.
And it comes on the same day that suspect appeared in the courtroom. Fox 5's Shamari Stone live tonight in Bowie with this exclusive. Shamari?
Well, tonight, that neighbor tells me that he is shocked just days after this case unfolded. I want to show you how close he lives next to the suspect's house. You see right here? This is where the neighbor lives. And right here, this is the home where 35-year-old Hugo Hernandez Mendes lived. And police served a search warrant here at the suspect's house. They say they found blood stains, women's lingerie, hair from a wig consistent with one Dacara Thompson wore, and a fingernail that matches the one missing from Dacara's hand.
Yeah, Shamari, I've lived next door to these people for years.
Cody is breaking his silence after he says he talked to Prince George's County homicide detectives about the murder of 19-year-old Dacara Thompson.
It is the first time I'm speaking publicly about this. Like I said, I live directly next door. I was 40 feet away from where the attack happened.
Living next door to suspect 35-year-old Hugo Hernandez Mendes, the alleged illegal immigrant who police say killed Dacara Thompson inside his bedroom in this home in Bowie, Maryland. Cody tells me he stepped outside his house early morning on August 23rd and saw something burning in the suspect's backyard.
The smell is different. It's not brush smell. It smells more like something you'd smell akin to like a trash burning or something like that. I would be willing to bet that they were burning evidence of some sort. I know that when I told the detectives this, I know that ash pile that was back there is no longer back there.
And Cody wonders why Hernandez Mendes wasn't already in jail. ICE officials telling us he's in the country illegally. U.S. Park Police arrested him in April on a DUI, but for some reason he was released. Dacara Thompson's mother saying that's disappointing.
I'm very disappointed, finding that out now, because we may not be here today if they did what they were supposed to do.
Detectives say Dacara was seen on surveillance video entering the front passenger side of Hernandez Mendez's SUV in a parking lot on University Boulevard around 3 o'clock in the morning on August 23rd. Her father telling investigators she had texts saying she was going to get gas. Those were her last known whereabouts before her body was discovered off Route 50. An autopsy reveals Dacara had skull and facial fractures.
Being 40 feet from a murder is something that you're never going to get used to. It's something that you're never going to be okay with. It's something you're never going to be comfortable with. And my heart goes out to her family. I can't even imagine.
Now tonight, Hugo Hernandez Mendes is in jail without bond. His next court appearance is on October 8th. We reached out to ICE, U.S. Park Police, and Prince George's County Police, and we are waiting for them to get back to us. On the other side of the house, I just want to take the time real quick to show you the front. You can see there is a memorial that has grown. A woman around an hour ago dropped off some more balloons here. This is the community showing support for Dacara Thompson because this is where police say the murder happened. I'm Shamari Stone, and I'll continue to bring you the latest developments in this case. I'm in Bowie. Back to you.
Now, the News 4i team has been digging into details about Hernandez Mendez's prior arrest by federal authorities and why he was let go. We're going to bring in investigative reporter Tracy Wilkins, who has also learned about questions here about Prince George's County Police's sort of initial handling of the case and her report of as a missing person.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions in this case. Let's start with what we know about Hugo Hernandez Mendes and his past interactions with the law. An ICE official tells us he is from Guatemala and entered the country in an unknown date. But we know when he crossed the radar, federal officials, just as recently as this past spring, he was not kept in custody. Today at the press conference announcing murder charges, state and county officials said he had been arrested by the U.S. Park Police last April and charged with a DUI, but was released. We looked for those records, but could not find them in the court system. We asked Park Police for charging documents, but they directed us to file an open records request to receive them. But sources close to this investigation say Hernandez Mendes was arrested on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway in Prince George's County on April 25th by the U.S. Park Police, who patrol the BW Parkway. Now, that's a federal agency. Given the federal push to detain undocumented people in this country, there are questions now as to why he was released after this DUI charge. Here's what County Executive Aisha Braveboy said about that arrest earlier today.
Well, I think that the U.S. Government has made status of individuals relevant. This was someone who was in their custody, and they made the decision to release him. So I think the questions should be asked of the Justice Department.
Now, we reached out to the DOJ and also Maryland U.S. Attorney's Office for clarification on why Hernandez was not held, since ICE tells us he was undocumented. But they told us they have no comment on this case. ICE issued a detainer for Hernandez Mendes yesterday as this murder investigation was unfolding. This case has taken a devastating turn. There are also questions about how it all started. Prince George's County Police have said that once they were notified about the case, they began investigating areas where Thompson was last seen. They produced a flyer that was distributed. But initially, the department did not reach out to news outlets or publish Thompson's picture on their blog or their X account. I've spoken with Prince George's County Police about why, and it was explained to me that because Thompson was a healthy adult, her case was not considered critical. When we asked the chief about that today, here's what's his response.
The facts as we have it is she was in that vehicle before she was ever reported missing. So we did canvass the area. We searched, we questioned people in the area. We looked for video. We did all of these things as a practice. Critical missings get distributed. But the family did a lot of hard work and they distributed information and you all covered that. So the information was out and the community had it.
Black and Missing Foundation partners with law enforcement to help find people whose cases are sometimes mishandled or ignored. And their work has had a great impact on how cases of missing Black people are handled by police. They describe how their work has changed how DC's police department approaches missing cases and why this can be a good example for other jurisdictions.
Regardless of the situation of that person being missing, everyone gets a flyer. And that right there, that public notification is so important. Soon as that missing persons case is filed, it gets a flyer and it becomes disseminated all over the media, social media platforms, sharing it with the general public. And that right there is the first step, because the community can't help you in finding someone if the community is not aware that someone is missing. And so just those first 24 to 48 hours, those are the most critical moments.
Again, Prince George's County Police say they did distribute flyers and investigate, although in terms of social media and media outreach, this was initially more of a grassroots effort, large part because of her age. But this gives everyone an opportunity to learn a little bit more about how these decisions are made. You heard what Black and Missing had to say about it. They want every case to be treated like it's critical because of those initial hours. But, you know, as you heard from the chief there are a lot of questions in terms of timing on whether that would have made a difference with when she was reported missing.
hours.
Exactly. But it's just a very heartbreaking case. And then there were a number of African-American women who came up missing. We had 3 at the same time from around the same area. And there was a lot on social media of people making assumptions about what had happened and what was going on in this case. One of those women found, another one is still critically missing. But what is important is that the more information we're able to get from law enforcement, the better people are able to deal with all of this information. Just a very unfortunate ending to this case. The entire community was praying for her safe return. So this is most unfortunate.
Yeah, they had a large group of community members canvassing the area, and no doubt that large group of community members is rallying behind this family when they need it most. Tracy, thank you so very much.
Is it cameras? Cameras.
I break hearts, I'm a problem. She still wanna stay. Shorty pressure, but I would never ride away. You know about these special. I feel all these girls the same. Talking shit be extra. I thought you knew.
I'ma just say this, like, I'ma be real. Dacara Thomas, she was selling box to the Mexican man, which led to her unaliving. As soon as I heard this story, I kind of already knew. It's a unfortunate situation that happened, and my condolences go to her family. But she was selling box to the Mexican dude, and I just think he got tired of something transpired when they had that meetup, and it led to her unaliving. It's very unfortunate, and like I said, like, my condolences go out, but she was selling box.
Flipping this clip, it ain't regular. I'm not just a local pedestrian. I get that work for the Mexicans. I ride with my niggas like Mexicans. I sell them keys on the.
Some of y'all got more smoke for Dacara Thompson than you do for the man who actually unalived her. Y'all remember this?
Dacara Thompson lost her life because she was selling her coochie to an illegal immigrant. Dacara had poor pussy management.
Dacara Thompson, man, she was I'm gonna say a sex worker, man. I'm just gonna put it like that. I ain't gonna call her no prostitute.
It's so much disrespect on Dacara Thompson's name right now that her mother and her alleged friend both came forward to defend her.
She was a good girl. She was a good kid. So there's been a lot of people disparaging her character on social media and things and such. Please don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you hear.
Alright, hey y'all, I kind of just wanted to speak on the Dacara situation because I don't like how y'all moving about it. So, me and Dacara kind of known each other since I was little. I seen a lot of y'all in the comments talking about questioning the father. The father looked like he knows something. Da-da-da-da-da-da. One thing that I can say about Dacara father, Puda never played about them girls. So, for all y'all that was in the comments like that, y'all need to shut the fuck up because y'all don't know nothing. Y'all don't know him. Y'all don't know her. Y'all don't know nothing. For two, for all y'all keep trying to make them funny ass jokes talking about, yeah, she was selling cat and da-da-da-da. Y'all don't know the background story of what the fuck really happened. The only people that's gonna really know the story is the nigga that did it and God.
Dacara Thompson was a member of the Service Option Year program, and through that, she was employed with a non-profit. She didn't need to be out here selling anything. Y'all are making videos full of speculation and rumors, and you're trying to use protective language to disguise this shit as concern. Oh no, we're only trying to warn other young girls. Miss me with the bullshit, because at the end of the day, none of us knows what happened. None of us were there. None of us knows the circumstances of her and that man. Now, the part 1 video that I did about Dacara recently went viral, and I'm not the only creator that has spoken out about this bullshit.
A lot of y'all is fucking irritating me on this internet. Keep trying to be motherfucking detectives. A lot of y'all is so fucking weird and disrespectful. Some of y'all keep saying she was selling her body. Look, that's not the focus. And if she was, it does not matter. She did not deserve to lose her life.
And like I said in part 1, this is the same bullshit y'all did to Breonna Taylor. Oh, if she wasn't dating a dealer, the police would have never unalived her. Trying to excuse and justify the bullshit. Regardless what Dacara was or was not doing out there, guess what? Someone lost their baby. Someone lost their baby girl. Like, what part of that is not clicking with y'all? What's not clicking? And if it was your loved one, you would not want anybody on the internet making all these fuck shit videos, spreading rumors and allegations. Put some respect on Dacara Thompson's name, period.
Why would I respect someone who doesn't have any respect for themselves? That's like asking a rock band to play a medley for a symphony orchestra. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no match. Hoes don't deserve respect because they have no respect for themselves. If you're a young woman's willing to take your clothes off and get upped by a total stranger for $100, maybe $200, what equates to drop money in today's dollar, you're already a walking, talking monument of self-disrespect. Oops. Did I just tell the truth? What, are y'all gonna shoot me in the head with a 30-06 too?
Is Diamante home?
No.
What'd you do that for?
Cause he's from the streets. Girl, what you know about the streets?
Pull up in my hood, best dress. Next thing, upgrade, who's next? Rich boy, got him on deck. Good boy, tell that nigga fetch. I put my new man on a leash. Traded in my old nigga, he was just a lease. I ride around town till I leave. I gave that boy rounds, but I'm back to the street like la da di da di da. Yeah, I spin him back to the streets like la da di da di da. Back to the streets, so clean when I pull up to the scene. Big goals and I put that on me. What you thinking? What's good? Fuck, how you feeling? I wish a nigga would. Had to hit the husband on your homies. Stepping in your bad bitches only. My ex used to act like he owned me. Ain't enough just to treat me like a trophy. I had that, passed that, knew I had to trash that. Bounced on his ass, turned that boy into a flashback. I'm a 5-star bitch with a price tag. Gotta find me somebody that can match that. Last one got on my last nerve. Made me go change my passwords. I hit the curve with password. You know I get the last word. Pull up in my hood, best dress. Next thing, upgrade, who's next? Rich boy, got him on deck. Good boy, tell that nigga fetch. I put my new man on a leash. Traded in my old nigga.
What's going on, guys? So, I know that many of you are aware that it has been quite a while since I've made a fresh recording. A lot of the videos that I've been releasing every 2 weeks since July have been videos that were recorded earlier in the year, and they were supposed to be part of a batch that was supposed to be a lot longer of videos addressing certain topics of interest, but I had to cut that batch short because of just certain things happening in my personal life and not so free time. Been going through a lot this year, but I really felt with everything that's been going on, and you guys are also aware of that, there's been a lot of shit going on this year. With everything that's been going on, I saw this story pop up about a week and a half ago, and I really felt compelled to speak on it because it is one of those stories that defines or suggests a reality check moment for Black America. Something that we have already been aware of to some extent. But I believe that this particular story adds a little bit extra to the reality, the harsh reality of being Black in America and what that means, particularly for Black youth and, you know, our up and coming generations of Black people. Otherwise, I probably would not have taken the time out of my very busy and bothersome life and schedule to do this video. So as many of you heard, there was a case out of the Maryland, D.C. area of this young, somewhat attractive girl / young woman named Dacara Thompson, 19 years old, who went missing after going out late on August the 23rd and leaving her father's house in suburban Washington, D.C. area in a suburb called Lanham, and claiming to go to get some gas. And she never returned home after texting her father about 11:30 that night, just before midnight. I'm sorry, it was actually August the 22nd, 11:30 midnight. She never returned home after texting her father saying that she was going out to get some gas. And so her father texted her that he was going to bed, and, you know, he just checked in with her. And that's when she indicated that she was going to get gas. So I guess he goes to sleep and, you know, wakes up the next morning, realizes that she hasn't returned home. And then once he realizes she's missing, I suppose he contacts her mother. You know, I'm assuming that both parents were separated. The mother did not seem to be currently involved or living in the same home with the father. When he contacts the mother, she contacts other relatives. They contact the police. And all of this is happening over the course of August the 23rd. And by the next day, August the 24th, they're on social media putting up posters for their missing baby. And they're organizing through social media, friends, relatives, family members, and the police, alerting the police to start search parties for 19-year-old Dacara Thompson. This search goes on for days. Her story goes viral on social media. And this goes on over a course of 10 days, I want to say. Wait a minute, how many? 22nd, was it 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30, 31. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It goes on for 9 days, this search for this missing girl. And then there's a turn of events. There's a certain twist, a horrible twist in the story, I guess, for her family, where a body is found miles away from where she initially was reported missing, which was the Hyattsville, Maryland area. And turns out that the Maryland State Police, they were responding to a call out in the Anne Arundel County area, in or around Annapolis, which is quite a ways away from Hyattsville. And while responding to a call of an abandoned an abandoned car, sitting on the road on Interstate 50, somehow, I guess, using their searchlights on their cars or their individual flashlights, they came across what appeared to be a woman's naked body that was laying in a grassy area just over the bridge. They determined that the nude body was deceased, and so they called the coroner's office. Now this is interesting because the state police are fully aware of the fact that there's this missing teenager, Dacara Thompson, that disappeared from the DC metro area. And so they alert law enforcement that is running that investigation in the DC metro area. And in turn, they alert, I guess, the family. And the news and social media pick up on this very quickly. And within hours, since the body was already matching the description of Dacara Thompson, within hours they quickly determined that through, of course, positive ID from the family, of course, plus she had matching tattoos. The body had matching tattoos of Dacara Thompson, that it was indeed the dead body of Dacara Thompson. So now they're launching a death investigation. And one of the things that they determined very quickly was that she had skull and facial, the body of Dacara Thompson had skull and facial fractures. So they were assuming, just based on that she may have experienced some type of trauma and may have been murdered. But the medical examiner's office, as of last check, is still running an autopsy to find out exactly precisely how she died. Now, that's not where this story ends, of course, because there is an in-between. The in-between is that we now know that between leaving her father's house around 10 p.m. on August 22nd, Dacara Thompson, driving a 2013 Ford Edge SUV, left her father's home around 10 p.m. And after about an hour and a half of being out, her father texted her and asked, he said that he was going to bed and was checking up on her. She texted back almost immediately saying at about 11:30 at night, as I mentioned earlier, that she was just going to get gas and she would be back home soon. Of course, this was a lie. Like a lot of little thoughts and just kids that age in general, she was lying to her father because she was on some sneak tip shit that she didn't want her father or her parents to know. And we now have a better indication of what that is. So after she texted her father around 11:30 p.m., hours later, I believe it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess her father, he snoozed off, he's asleep, he's in his dreams. He's not even aware that his daughter was still out. He must have went right to bed after he texted her within the hour. Because I'm sure if he realized that she was still out at 3 a.m., he would have texted her or called her again like, hey, where you at? When you coming home? So, assumably, while he's sleeping, she's still out. And at 3 a.m., she's seen on surveillance video of, I don't know if it was a nearby business or a doorbell cam, parking her Ford Edge on a side street in the wrong direction, facing the wrong direction in Hyattsville, getting out of her vehicle, okay, leaving her, and this was discovered by her family members, she left her purse with her wallet and her house keys in the car, and then walked about a block or so up the street and started conversing with someone in a black SUV being described as a GMC Yukon Denali. And after about a minute of conversation on the driver's side of the vehicle, according to police, you can see on the video that Dacara Thompson walks around to the passenger side and gets in the vehicle with the mystery individual and then drives off. Now, according to police investigators, they were able to track the movements of this SUV to a home in Bowie, Maryland, which is also a suburb in the greater Washington, D.C. metro area. There, at a home in Bowie, Maryland, later that night, actually closer to morning and sunrise, other people who lived in that home would later tell police that around 5 o'clock in the morning, they heard this man, now identified as Hugo Hernandez Mendes, aged 35 years of age, fucking somebody. They told police, as police described it, that they heard sounds of sex, or Hugo Hernandez Mendes having sex with someone in his room in that home. And even more eerily, they said that they heard grunting towards the end of what they assumed was a sexual act, and that sounded as if someone was not enjoying the sex. Later that morning, other members of the home who were identified as cousins of Mr. Mendes, he was staying with distant relatives in the home. He was originally a citizen of Guatemala. They said that they looked outside or went outside and they noticed that his vehicle, the GMC Yukon, was not outside, which was strange because he didn't work on Saturday. This all went down on the night to morning of August the 23rd. They said that while they found this strange, they didn't think anything of it, and they went on about their day. So now we fast forward from those details back to August 31st when they found Dakara's body. Police have been able to determine that they believe that Mendes, while screwing or raping, we don't know for sure, but while ucking Dacara Thompson, he murdered her in some form or fashion in his room at that address in Bowie, Maryland, then took her naked body, somehow snuck it out of the house, stuffed it into his vehicle, drove, like, I think I saw on GPS, like 20-something miles to the Anne Arundel County, Annapolis, Maryland area, and dumped her body off of the Interstate 50 bridge, and it fell down about 30 feet. Now, I speculated that because, I don't know if police are assuming that she received the injuries, the skull and facial fractures, from him beating her to death. I speculated that those injuries to her face and her skull were probably suffered when he threw her off a 30-foot bridge, and her body landed in the South River off of Interstate 50. And I speculated that because the ear witnesses back at the home that Mr. Mendes shared with his cousins said that they only heard sex and grunting, like somebody was uncomfortable. It may have just been rough sex in the home. It seemed to me that if the walls were that shallow in the home and he was beating her ass, or beating her face in with his fist or a blunt object, they would have heard a lot more violent sounds coming from that room than just sex and grunting. Okay? Plus, dropping the body off of a 30-foot bridge. I mean, that can do if her body, assuming she was already dead, her body landing in the water or hitting some type of solid object when falling off the bridge could have also caused those injuries. Okay? So as of right now, we don't know if those injuries are associated with what caused her death or if they happened after her death. What is known, and another thing, I said earlier that she may have been raped. Well, there is an argument against that as well, because if she was being raped, why wasn't she screaming, or something in the home, yelling for help, when this whole sexual act that Mendez's cousins described was going down. Okay, so there's an argument against that, unless anything could have happened. I suppose he could have had her mouth muffled, or maybe he knocked her unconscious, or gave her some type of drug to knock her out before taking her in the home. But I guess all of that will come out in the autopsy results. Another thing that was very interesting about this case was when it came out on social media, a lot of people were saying that well, she was selling pussy, she was selling cat. Now, there are strong indicators that she was hoeing, okay? But there are some things that, make me kind of raise my eyebrow at that as well. Because for one, I was thinking, if this was a pay-for-sex transaction type of thing, why would she leave her purse with her wallet in the car? I'm assuming that this is a cash transaction. I'm also assuming if it was a digital transaction, like a Cash App or a PayPal or a Venmo, where he paid her, through some digital mean, like with a card or something, which would be unlikely for him to have anyway, since he's an illegal immigrant, and we're going to get back to that in a minute. It seems like the police would have mentioned that in the press conference, that there was a transaction there of, assumably Hugo sending her some money to some digital app or something, maybe even Zelle. Also, and I guess the case can be made for prostitution or something else going on. But why would she not only park her vehicle, but park it facing the wrong direction instead of just driving to his home if she was only selling pussy? If she's, the type of prostitute that does out calls, why didn't she just go directly to his home, with her car, and maybe park in the back in the alley or a garage somewhere? I don't know the makeup of the home because I haven't seen it. But I'm just saying that didn't make sense. Why park her vehicle, then get out and get in the vehicle with him and drive miles away? What if, something, I know 19-year-olds, their minds don't go that far, but you have a lot of adults that dumb too. What if he gets mad and kicks you out? How are you supposed to get back to your car, much less home? You got Uber money? So, I guess the argument could be made that maybe, since she was creeping, maybe, she didn't want to risk, even though it was the dead of night, 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe she didn't want to risk one of her relatives or one of her friends seeing her car in front of that home where she was getting fucked. I don't know. Also, we don't know what happened in the vehicle when she got in the vehicle. Like I said, he may have knocked her out physically or with some type of drug and taken her to the home against her consent. But what we do know, without a shadow of a doubt, we do know that this girl was on some sneak type shit. Okay? Well, I am not completely, it's not completely a unlikelihood in my mind that she may, like a lot of black females, she may have just been being nasty. If you look at the porn industry, the modern day porn industry, for example, it's not like the porn that we grew up with, us 30 and 40 something year olds grew up with, when you go to the video store and pick up the VHS tape, those were professional porn stars, the weird quirky music, while the girl is, doing the obviously fake moaning and groaning. A lot of these girls nowadays that are involved in the sex industry at every level, they don't just come from stripper backgrounds or prostitution backgrounds. A lot of these females are college students. They work at the local bookstore. There's a lot of amateurishness in the porn industry and throughout the sex industry now. And the reason for that is because thought culture and being a hoe has been normalized, and even worse, it's being endorsed. It's being glorified. It's being promoted on social media, in Hollywood, in music, everywhere you see it, okay? Especially to minority groups of young women. You see a lot of these white girls hoeing on things like TikTok and Instagram too, but it's mainly young black girls and, Latina women that you see allowing themselves to be caught up in this cycle of thoughtism in America. Okay? So, whether or not she was being a prostitute or just because, I'm with the possibility, as I said before, that she could have just been being, a nasty, slut type. It is what it is. A lot of these girls, they get hot down there and, they start experiencing their sexuality in their mid-teens and they just want to go out and be nasty. Now, again, there are obviously guys her age in her area that I'm sure she could do that with if she was just strictly sex-minded. But, some of these females, y'all seen them on Ghetto Gaggers. They'll tell you, I'm here for the experience more than the money. Some of them, they just want to experience getting smutted out and, having sex with strangers. I know there's a lot of strong indications that point to her selling cat, her selling snatch, for money. But again, we can't say that 100% sure with 100% certainty because the police haven't confirmed that there were any transactions between these two, that there was even so much as any type of text or other electronic communications, which I assume there were for them to meet up. I'm assuming she didn't just get out of her car in the middle of the night and, walk up to some random person on the street. I'm assuming there was something there where they met online or off. But I also thought this possible, that this girl may have just met this dude in person and he got to sweet talking her. Maybe he understood a little English, even though he was an illegal Guatemalan immigrant. And, it could have been in the course of her, going to school, going to work, or just out running errands for the day, and they just met in person, and maybe they exchanged phone numbers, and there wasn't any type of electronic meetup like on some dating site or something like that. People are just assuming that. Also, it's important to remember that when police moved in days after they found her body, and they honed in on Hernandez as the lead suspect once they made the license plate to his car and his location, and went in and found evidence that she was there. They found a broken fingernail and a wig and strands of what appeared to be shredded hair, and her blood, all indicators that he wasn't just fucking her in that room, he was fucking her up. Something happened in that room that shouldn't have happened. He told investigators that he went to that area in Hyattsville initially, or so he claimed, to meet up with his ex-girlfriend at a nightclub. Okay? But he never met with her. And so this happened, this whole thing where she got out of her vehicle and got in his vehicle in Hyattsville happened near a nightclub. So it's a possibility that they may have met there earlier in the day. Nobody knows what she was doing between 10 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. when she talked with her father. Nobody knows what she was doing after 11:30 when she texted her father, and 3 a.m. the 3 o'clock hour when she got in the vehicle with this Hernandez Mendes guy. It's very possible that she may have lied to her dad about going to get gas and then went to the club searching for dick, met Hernandez Mendes in the club, and then, later agreed, to meet up at a certain spot. And she didn't, she wanted to be slick about it. So she parked her car and figured, that was dumb enough to figure that he would drive her back after they got done doing the nasty wherever he was going to take her. Okay? It just shows you the blatant stupidity of not only the black female, but also just, young people and people in general, just the sheer naivety of somebody to think that you meet a stranger, online or in a club or wherever the fuck she met this dude, and think that you can trust them like that. But we'll get back to that in a minute. So, this is basically a case of a young black thought, that, went into ghetto gagger mode and didn't get out of it, at least not alive. Okay? And, I mean, you can only imagine what her parents must have thought when they put two and two together and realized that not only did this girl lie to them, but that she was out there more likely than not, whether she was prostituting or just looking to do the nasty with some dude that she met online or at the club, that she was out there ho-ho-hoing. And not only was she ho-ho-hoing, she was ho-ho-hoing with a scar-faced fucking Latino dude that was an illegal immigrant, twice her age. And in the end, after fucking her up, he discarded her naked body like a piece of trash off the side of a bridge. I mean, I can't imagine what those parents must have gone through psychologically in those days and then those hours after they found out what happened to their precious daughter. Now, that's not why I made this story, because that's not why I'm making a video about this story, because we've heard shit like this over the years. This is nothing new, okay? Black females that are involved in the sex industry, black females, just being thoughts, getting caught up dead, on some shit that they shouldn't have been doing, whether it was dealing with an ex-boyfriend, a current boyfriend, a side dude, drama with some other female over some dick. We hear these type of stories all the time. We also hear stories all the time, as David Carroll warned y'all years ago, okay, before his death, that non-black men are running through these hoes. Non-black men are running through these hoes, okay? Like white on rice, like 40 going north, okay? Like blue meat in the sky. They running through these hoes. He told y'all this, okay? He also told you that you can get a black female, you can get a black woman when you can't get something to eat. I lived next to a Mexican dude. Wasn't worth a shit. Didn't have a job. Fresh out of jail. I spoke to him a couple of times, many years ago, back when I lived in this little cheap-ass apartment. He had a white girlfriend that was so mesmerized and hypnotized by this motherfucker. She was paying his rent while he was in jail. And when he got out of jail, after 6 months, and his apartment was right next to mine, how did he repay her? By fucking two random black bitches that he claimed he met on the street just walking past our house. That's what he claimed. And I heard him in there fucking at least one of them a couple of times. By fucking these two black thoughts behind his white girlfriend's back. Later on, he got arrested again for fighting some white dude that was an ex-con that was one of our neighbors. And he got sent away for a while because I think he had outstanding warrants. And I didn't see him anymore after that. But I later found out that he finally got out of jail. He liked to drink a lot, so he was always getting into it with somebody. But it's like David Carroll said, man. The black female and what's between her legs is one of the easiest things to get in the world. They talking about game. You don't even have to have game with some of these hoes. I was just up in Chicago with my family. This damn chubby black girl was flirting with me at the fucking Harold's Chicken up on Wabash. I just went in there for a 4-piece. She asking me why I like dark meat so much, and the way she was looking at me in the face, I could tell she was interested in my dick, trying to see if I was gonna holler at her. But that's Chicago hoes for you anyway. They chase dick as much as niggas chase pussy, but that's a subject for another video. But it's not hard to run through these hoes, bro. So that's not even the angle that I'm approaching with this whole issue. This is why I feel like this is kind of a wake-up call to Black America. Because see, before, when we talked about ratchet black women, you remember Tommy Sotomayor from back in the day, the BT 1000s? We were talking, when it came to this, especially this whole shit and this drama shit, a lot of what we were talking about were females that could be considered hood rats. The low IQ, loud, overly dramatic, single baby mother, from the projects or from the ghetto, that's basically living on welfare, maybe child support, has a criminal record, probably a few felonies, in and out of jail, got the hood rat tats, wear the bright colored wigs. Those were the type of females that most black men and people in general envisioned when they talked about the problematic black female that I classify as the thought bot or the thug thought, and that Tommy Sotomayor classified as the BT 1000. But here's the problem with that theory and that aspect, okay? Dacara Thompson did not appear to fit any of those attributes. She didn't fit the profile. Other than being a black female, she did not fit the profile. This was a suburban girl, a DC Metro suburban girl that had graduated from high school. She had both her parents, though separated, both her parents were actively in her life, okay? She had she had some kind of allowance from them that was connected to one, if not both, of their bank accounts. And we know this because her mom, in the 9 days that she was missing, her mom told the news that she checked an account, I guess, that was connected to Dacara, and found that she hadn't made any purchase transactions in the time that she had been missing between August 23rd and August 31st, when they found her body. And this was when she was still missing. Her mother said that she was worried that Dacara, while missing, wasn't eating anything because she hadn't, bought anything from a restaurant or a store for food or made any transactions at all. This was obviously before they knew she was dead. Okay? So the only way I would imagine that this girl's mother would know what was on her account, and if she used her card, was if her card was connected to her own personal bank account, or they had a bank account that they were running on her behalf, that she had direct access to. We know that her parents were taking good care of her because her father checked in on her on the night of August 22nd, just before he went to bed. She was actually staying with her father when she went missing, after leaving his home in Lanham and traveling to Hyattsville for the ho-ho-hoing and creeping that she was doing. Okay? We know that when she was 18 years old, her parents, it had to be her parents, I don't know who else would fund her like that. They threw a fancy prom and dress party for her prom. I guess around the time that she was graduating from high school. There's a video that's now gone viral of her in Cinderella slippers and a ocean or sky blue dress, prom dress, walking out of, assumably one of her parents' home for her prom. Okay, in like a gray or silverish wig or something. She had a car. The car that was described, found with her house keys and her wallet and her purse in it. Parked on the street in Hyattsville, a 2013 Ford Edge. We can assume, especially since she was working for a nonprofit as an intern, meaning she wasn't getting paid more than likely, that her parents funded her, either co-signed or outright bought that car for her use so she could have a set of wheels. Okay? At that age, she wouldn't have had the credit, and she wouldn't have been able to afford that car on her own unless she's been selling pussy for a while. If that's what you want to believe. Okay? So her parents were taking good care of her. She was a suburban girl. She didn't have any kids. Her mother described her as a shy, good student and a good girl. She was in an internship, okay? After graduating high school, this girl, although black, she was hitting all the right notes. She had all the right support, okay, from both her mother and her father. She had both parents in her life, okay? And it looked like she was on the right course to become some type of successful human being. But somewhere along the way, she went astray. And that was not intended to rhyme, but it did, okay? The question, not only for her parents, and I don't know what happened in the households, between her parents or why her parents divorced, but I do know they tried to take care of their kid, which is their responsibility. Okay, that's what they're supposed to do. The father didn't run on his responsibility, and it does not appear that the mother was keeping him from fulfilling his responsibility as a dad. The fact that the mother was bawling and crying and standing there with the father, with his arms draped over her when they were still searching for this girl, shows that they were still very close, if for no other reason, for the sake of their daughter. Okay? So she didn't fit the profile of a thought body. Okay? She didn't fit the profile of a single mother. She didn't fit the profile of a Shaina. Okay? Even when I went to her social media, there aren't really any sexually suggestive pictures of her on her Instagram and, or on Facebook or TikTok that I could see. I mean, I browsed through her shit, but, I didn't do any extensive looking. But from the videos and pictures that I saw, she was wearing clothes, regular clothes, in almost all of her videos. So there was no indication that, at least publicly, she was selling pussy online. Seemed to be just an all-American girl, as they say, for whatever that's worth. Because, you always hear the excuses. Oh, she came from a broken home. She came from a broken family. She was molested as a little girl. She had a violent ex-boyfriend. There's no indication that Dacara had a boyfriend at all. I haven't heard anything about one. In fact, the only indication of any type of relationship outside of whatever the fuck was going on with her and the dude that killed her that night, was likely having sex and killed her that night, was that him claiming that he was trying to meet up with his ex-girlfriend at a nearby nightclub in Hyattsville. So then the question is, shy girl, no boyfriend, both parents, financially supported, graduated from high school. Instead of going to college, she went into an internship, a volunteer internship program. What the fuck was this girl from the suburbs at the age of 19? What the fuck was she doing out at 11:30 at night to 3 o'clock in the morning on some sneak tip shit, so eager to accomplish and achieve whatever her goal was that night, whether it was money-minded or sex-minded, that she parked her car in the wrong direction on a side street in suburban DC to get in the car with what we have to assume at this point was a complete stranger, an illegal alien, an illegal immigrant at that. A scar-faced Guatemalan that probably spoke questionable and broken English and was twice her age. What the fuck was she doing out there? Now, if you point at Boomqueequa, that works at a fast food restaurant like McDonald's, that got 3 or 4 illegitimate children at home and shaking her ass all over social media, and she's from Baltimore, that's one thing. But this girl was supposed to be she's the quintessential good girl, so to speak, as far as all American girls go. She comes from what appears to be an all-American background, a good supportive background, with loving, caring parents that took care of her and looked after her, even after she graduated from high school, living with her father. Why is she out either A, selling pussy, or B, getting dicked down by an illegal immigrant, twice her age, at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning, miles away from home after lying to her father? Why is she doing this? What could be her motive? She didn't need the money. What, was she planning on getting a boob job? Was she trying to get money up to go on one of those fancy vacations that these Insta-Thots be taking? To, pretend like they're rich and take all kinds of photos in some, exotic location like the Bahamas? Why would she need the money? If she has 2 parents that are financially supporting her to the point where they threw her a fancy prom event, bought her a car, and has her on an allowance connected to one or both of their bank accounts. She has a place to stay. She has a set of wheels. She has an allowance. She graduated from high school. She was in an internship. What is she doing out here selling pussy? What did David Carroll tell you? Because now, see, she was in an internship. What did David Carroll tell us about the corporate American hood rat? She don't have to be from the hood to be ratchet. She don't have to be from the hood to be scandalous. See, this is an uncomfortable truth because, see, when I went on social media, there are 2 things that I noticed immediately. On one hand, you had the group that was angry that people were calling this girl a hoe and saying that she was selling pussy. On the other hand, you had a lot of people, including white people, that were saying, that were using this story up to and including the White House that got wind of this story. This didn't happen too far away from Trump's crib, the White House, that was saying, see, this is why we need to get illegal immigrants out of the country. See, damn illegals. Illegal is struck again. But no. People are asking the wrong question. Because the truth of the matter is, the risks that this foolish girl was taking, going with strange dudes in the middle of the night, she could have gotten in the car with a pookie. She could have got in the car with an older black man. She could have got in the car with a white man. That was a natural born citizen of the United States of America. And this could have happened. Yes, this is a story about the illegal immigrant that killed her.
Because he's from the streets.
But it's also a story of why young black females are so prone to whoredom, even when they come from a decent upbringing and background. Even when they're from the suburbs, even when they have both parents in their life, even when they have money, even when they're going to college, even when they appear to be a good student making good grades and appear to have a bright future ahead of them, even when they don't have kids early. Why are so many of these females? And you see these little black thoughts running around with mixed race babies, multiple different children that look like all colors of the rainbow every day. And you wonder how she got there. And it's the uncomfortable truth, because not just the Boomqueequas, or the Keishas as y'all call them, or the Thotbot, the Weave Rat, the BT1000, whatever you want to call them, it's not just them. It's the others. Y'all remember that movie, The Others, by M. Night Shyamalan's goof ass? It's the others too. It's the good girl, it's the quiet girl, it's the shy girl. It's the girl that made good grades. The girl that graduated from high school and she's going to college. She's going to university. The girl that has both parents. The girl that has an allowance from her parents. It's them too. That is what makes this story so significant. Why are all black youth and black female, not all, but an overriding majority of them, in the same crabs in a barrel, goldfish in a jar mentality? Why do they all have the same goldfish in a jar, crabs in a barrel mentality? Why is that? Is it because of, as the victimology experts would have you believe, the history of and trauma of slavery and Jim Crow? Or is it because at the most fundamental levels, black people have allowed the abnormal and the dysfunctional and the degenerate to become so normalized in our society, in our communities, that even the quote-unquote good kids are intoxicated, are poisoned, are mind-washed with this nonsensical notion that they have to be degenerates, violent degenerates, sexual degenerates, to actually equate to something of value in this world?
Girl, what you know about the street?
Or is it because of the hypersexualization being promoted to young black females and black people in general through social media, through popular culture, that has these females so slutted out in their minds that they sexually mature, so to speak, faster than females of other race groups, primarily those being Caucasian. Am I saying that there aren't plenty of white hoes running around? No, I'm not. What I am saying is if you compare the ratio of young black women that find themselves in these type of scenarios versus young women, especially young white women, that find themselves in these scenarios, especially at young ages, especially a white girl coming from a good home with both parents, the likelihood that you're going to see her involved in this stupidity, unless she's snatched and kidnapped off the street, which has happened, compared to a black girl with the same upbringing and lifestyle, are very, very, very unlikely. In fact, they're slim to none. If the white girl comes from a broken home, a trailer park, she's more likely to be on some prostitution or some hoe type shit early. Okay? But if she comes from a good family, I'm sorry, and this isn't alt-right shit, this is just real shit. You're not gonna see this. Why are there so many Dacaras in our society? We understand about the boom quiquas, okay? The black on black violence, the sexual degeneracy. We understand these are low IQ vermin. Certain things I can't say here on YouTube, so I'm just gonna leave it alone, okay? They're not very intelligent. A lot of them were, they were conceived from one night stands after the club or the bar or the house party. But then there are the Dacaras, the suburban girls, the good kids. They get caught up in the same foolishness. Thugging. Thotting. Why is this culture so deeply ingrained in Black America that it even poisons kids in Black America that come from good backgrounds? Why? Can somebody answer that question for me? Because I would love an answer. What people especially the people that got mad. They call themselves getting offended by people calling Dacara a hoe. And listen, whether she got in that car, you know, with the intention of going on a date, or whether she got in that car with the intention of prostitution for money, she was a hoe either way. Cause ain't no way in hell her little young ass should have been lying to her father, parking in the wrong direction on the street, and getting in a car with an illegal alien, a Scarface dude twice her age, at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care where they met. I don't care what they talked about. That girl was in no position, morally or otherwise, to do what she did. And she paid for it, unfortunately, with her life. But the question is, why was she in that position to begin with? Why? When you get an answer to that question, leave it in the comment section. Now, as you know, an overriding majority of the media is left-leaning. I guess that's why Donald Trump and friends call them fake news. But another thing that you will notice about the left-leaning media is that, unlike media from the past, like during our grandparents' generation, you know, the golden era of news, like under Walter Cronkite, they try to push these agendas constantly, where they will report the news, but they will report it in a way that fits their narrative. CNN is notorious for this, but so are some of the other prime networks like CBS, NBC, ABC. They try to mask themselves as being fair and impartial and just reporting the news, but they're almost always pushing an agenda. Admittedly, the cable networks like CNN, again, are far worse at this than the prime networks, but, you know, they try to be slick as well. The one thing I noticed in this case is that they switched up, in a sense, and kind of went against their usual narrative when it came to this Hugo Hernandez Chavez, or whatever the fuck his name was, the guy that's accused of murdering Dacara Thompson, in that they called him an illegal immigrant repeatedly. And so did Prince George's County officials. They even blamed the federal law enforcement that had picked this guy up for not retaining him on a DUI charge, even knowing his immigration status. And I found that strange. You know, these were local stations in the Maryland area, Maryland and Washington, D.C. area, but I found this extremely strange, especially since this story has gone viral nationally. Because in most cases, the liberal media will refuse to call these people what they are, which are illegal migrants, or people that are in this country illegally, either because they slipped across the border without documentation, or they overstayed their stay with the intention of, you know, remaining here. Usually, and let's be honest about this, what does the liberal media normally call these people? They call them undocumented workers. Why do they do that? And this is what I mean by, you know, pushing a narrative. They call them undocumented migrants or undocumented immigrants because that sounds less demonizing. And from a psychological standpoint, it sounds less threatening than calling them illegal immigrants. Okay? Essentially, they are illegal immigrants if they're in a country without proper documentation or overstaying their stay, without, you know, renewing their visas, if they had any to begin with. Okay, and we've went over the reason why the Democrats, when they were in power, were allowing this flood of immigrants into the country. But nonetheless, they would push this agenda that, oh no, these in the minds of people, in the minds of the sheep, that these people are not illegal. They're undocumented. Okay? That's as silly as saying that, oh, that guy with the gun and the mask, he didn't rob the bank. He was just forcefully taking out a cash advance. It's fucking stupid. And from a legal standpoint, it holds no bearing. If they're undocumented, they're breaking the law. Now, I have admitted, this is not the biggest problem that the United States of America has to face. It's not. Okay? Of course, the Trump administration wants us to believe it is, but it's really not. Nonetheless, the truth is the truth and facts are facts. Okay? These people are illegal immigrants. Okay? And hence, thus, they are committing a crime by being here undocumented. So the question is, why would the liberal media, in this specific case, go against their own grain or go against the grain of their own agenda and propaganda by repeatedly calling this man an illegal? The reason being is because they still want to pledge an allegiance toward the black female, who they still see as an ally, or as those of us intelligent brothers and sisters know better, as a useful idiot. See, if they had have came out and said Dacara Thompson was murdered by an undocumented immigrant, that probably would have pissed a lot of these femitards, these black femitards off. And the liberals and the liberal media and their Democratic friends, they already know that clearly with Trump in office and the Republicans controlling both houses of Congress, they're in enough trouble with their minority constituents and voters that didn't come out for them the last time for cum stain Kamala Harris. Let's just say that, or cum stain Harris, as I call her. So they don't want to further the problems that they already have by saying, by sending the message that, oh, we don't view him as an illegal. He's just an undocumented worker that, picked up this young hoe and, things went awry. So now it's convenient for them to call him, an illegal immigrant. Isn't that strange how they switch up? Kind of like when ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel. Now, you think about that, and I don't mean to, veer off track, but after that conservative bigot, Charlie Kirk, got whacked in Utah, all the shit that libtard Jimmy Kimmel has said about all these, alt-right people, from Trump on down, they didn't have a problem with that. They actually want him to send those messages. Okay? So they allow him to operate almost with impunity. But when he made a relatively lighthearted joke that wasn't even aimed at Kirk, it was aimed at Trump. These corporations and the FCC that overlooks them were so pussified. They're so scared of the right and the power that the right yields now, that they suspended one of their own puppets for spewing forth the very propaganda that they encouraged them to spew out. That should let you know a lot more about the liberal left that you should have already known, if you didn't know already. Just wanted to point that out. The other thing is, and I know we had touched on the the illegal immigrant aspect of why that should not be the primary focus. But I forgot to address Dacara's mother during the press conference. Addressed the message that she sent out saying, that she was disappointed, which is understandable. She lost her baby girl, she lost her daughter. Regardless of the circumstances of how that happened, it's understandable. Her loved ones are still going to grieve. They're still going to be angry and upset, which they should be. As I said, it looked like her parents tried to keep up with her, tried to take care of her, but at the end of the day, she's an adult at 19 and according to the law, and she can make her own decisions. But one thing her mother said that kind of stuck with me that I didn't get to address in the first part of the commentary, where she said that she was disappointed to find out that Hugo Hernandez was in the country illegally and had law enforcement, because the Capitol Police had pulled him over for driving recklessly in the Washington, D.C. area. But they decided to release him after his arrest on a DUI and give him a court hearing instead of holding him, once they determined that he was undocumented or illegal. She said that she was very disappointed to hear that, because had they done their job by retaining him, then, quote, we may not be here today. Now, when you really internalize what she said, listen, for those of you who are parents out there, you can fully understand her frame of mind, okay? But from a logical standpoint, what she said does not really hold weight. The reason being is because when you look at the Dacara Thompson situation and everything that we brought up in the first part of this video, if this girl was out there doing what a majority of people suspect that she was doing, which was hoeing, okay? Whether she met the guy online or more likely met him in or around that club that was near where she parked her vehicle and got in his vehicle. If she was doing that, okay? If it wasn't Hugo Chavez or Hugo Hernandez, if it wasn't him, it was gonna be somebody else, okay? If that thought has already been woven into her consciousness that, I can get quick money by doing the nasty. Maybe she wanted a car upgrade. Maybe she wanted a new wig. Maybe she wanted to go on, vacation overseas. Maybe she was trying to get money for, some type of designer clothes or purses, whatever. Okay, she wasn't a unusually flashy person on social media, at least not that I could see, but, whatever it was. Or maybe she was just, as I mentioned, maybe she was just sexually curious, hypersexual. She did seem like from her social media posts that she was a bit introverted, and her mom said she was kind of a shy, sweet girl. But we've heard in the past that even Eddie Murphy said back during his live album Raw that a lot of times those be the biggest hoes. It is what it is. Maybe she just, maybe she was just, sexually curious and just wanted to experience being nasty. I mentioned that in the first part, but not because they did say that they found multiple women's lingerie in Hugo Hernandez's apartment, which means either he already had them there or she brought lingerie with her to the place. And I was thinking, if you're just going in to get poked for money, why would you bring lingerie with you? I mean, you're leaving your house key and your wallet in the car, which means you plan on being back that night. If you bring lingerie, it sounds like you plan on being there a while. Maybe I don't know, because she never went back home. So where the hell did she get the lingerie from? Maybe she left her father's home with the intention of going out and doing the do that night. Okay, whether it was paid or whether it was free, hoochie coochie hookup night, I don't know. But the point of the matter is, and I know this would be extremely difficult for a parent to accept, especially in a circumstance like this. The reality is this, okay? Whatever the case, okay? If it wasn't Hugo Hernandez, it was gonna be somebody else. And if she was on the whole type shit, or if she was just on, the promiscuity type shit, and who knows, this probably, that was another thing I was gonna say. This probably was not her first rodeo doing this, okay? That's something that her parents and family members and a lot of people on social media don't want to accept either. Probably was not her first rodeo, okay? She probably been doing this sneak tip shit and lying to her parents for a while until it finally caught up with her, okay? But while one can say, okay, well, Hugo Hernandez, if he had been locked up where he belonged, and going through deportation proceedings, she would have never met him, okay? And maybe she would have met some other dude, Latino or black or white or whatever, to do for money or just to be nasty. Regardless, the reality is this. There are dangers out there everywhere, okay? So while it may not necessarily have led to her ultimate demise, it could have wound up leading to a rape or a robbery or a kidnapping or something else that traumatized her, that she never would, share with her parents in the future, okay? When you're living that type of risky lifestyle, especially when you're not street smart, and clearly I think it's fair to say that this girl, being raised in the suburbs, was not a street smart character. It's not like, like I said, it's not like she was, from the hood. She doesn't have any street smarts. And you're out here in the streets doing ratchet shit like it appeared that she was doing. You put yourself at even greater risk than a prostitute that's walking the streets. Why? Because the prostitute that's walking the streets at least has the knowledge of the risk that the streets bring. And some of those females, they have a instinctive ability to pick up on things and people that other people may not be able to pick up on. Okay? I remember this nigga, this Chicago looking nigga that looked like he was fresh out of prison. He called himself, trying to gauge me. I was out working and he was in the street, just walking around, and he stood there as I was getting out to do what I was getting ready to do, near where I was getting ready to do, and he said, what you got that gun on for? Yeah. I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking, who the fuck are you? And how the fuck do you know I have a gun on? I was carrying concealed. Now, it's possible that he could have been guessing, but he claimed that he saw a bulge. And he was, I know how these type of predatory niggas are. He was doing that to gauge, to see what my response would be. He may not have known that I had a gun, okay? But, if he did, then that's part of, a survival instinct that a street smart person would have, because they have to be extra aware of their surroundings to stay alive, just like anybody in the animal kingdom, right? So she didn't have that extra instinct. So whether it was Hugo Hernandez or Brad or Pookie or whoever, okay, then that's what I was gonna say in response to what her mom said. Dacara Thompson, who appears to have been, brought up in a traditional suburban black community in Prince George's County, she could have very easily, what happened to her could have just as easily happened to her by Pookie as it did Hugo Hernandez. Okay? And that's the ugly truth and reality that has to be faced in this situation. Okay? A lot of these young girls that meet their demise, they meet their demise at the hands of their own kind while doing dumb stuff. Like going out on sneak tip at night, messing around with people and hanging around with people that they shouldn't be hanging around with and messing with. Let's call it for what it is. But anyway, I didn't mean to rant and talk on for another hour. Just thought I would point those two things out, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening, and be safe out there. Know where your children are at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't assume that you know. If they're living under your roof, make sure that you know where they are. Okay? Because kids will tell you literally anything. Okay? Especially the older they get, the more devious they're going to get. It's just a reality. Okay? And also, don't assume that just because you raised them, that they're going to be different from other kids, especially when they get out in the world and start, experiencing the world, their peers, and social media and all of that. But anyway, just a reminder. Thanks so much for listening, and talk to you later, guys.
With password, I get the last word. Pull up in my hood, best dress. Next thing, upgrade, who's next? Rich boy, got him on deck. Good boy, tell that nigga fetch. I put my new man on a leash. Traded in my old nigga, he was just a lease. I ride around town till I leave. I gave that boy a round, spin him back to the street like la-da-dee-da-dee-da. Yeah, I spin him back to the streets like la-da-dee-da-dee-da. Yeah, back to the street.